computer, and you have to, you have to exit, the Zoom and log in again. Okay. All right. So let's go for it. So let me go to Visual Studio. Okay. Here's a Visual Studio. All right. The first part, remember, you guys need to have data validation. I'm going to do that later. Okay, I'll do it later. First thing I would do is that in a view card, you are required to have, number one, the extension. And these extensions kind of easy, right? So all you need to do is on the total here, the total here, just have this price. Where's my asterisk? Where's my asterisk? Time quantity, right? No big deal. That's all I need to do. How about the total? Now, total is like this, every time when you run this view card, in this case, the view card 2 is VX. In page load event, you're supposed to, okay, if there's a cookie, all right, if there's an item in the cart, then you need to calculate, okay. The way we can do is that we can actually create function, because that, we actually need to write some database code, pull up all the item, product line for that card, and then do a sum on it, right? And then we're going to store the number in display the number of the total in the text box. Okay. So the first thing we do is let's go ahead and create that function. I'm going to get that function in a second. All right, so I'm going to do it here. Okay. So we have a get card total function, and the input is a card number. And leave it there. And all the database code. What you need to do is right, select sum price times quantity as card total, and this become one of the field, right? And from card, where card number equal to string card number. And at the end, we're going to have a data reader. If the data reader is not blank, then we're going to display. Okay, we're going to get the card total from that card reader and then display that in the LBL card total. So we actually need a card total label. And we could put it anywhere we want. So we just put it here. Well, we need to enter a label. That. Okay, so we have a function. Okay, and then we can call function anywhere we want. For example, in the page load, page load, and there's a cookie, and once we have this, string card number from the cookie, and then we can just do. Let me copy the name. We're going to run get total with the string card number as the input parameter. So we put it here every time. Okay, every time when we run this view card 2. Okay, and if there is there's at least one product in that card. Okay, we're going to get a total and then just display that in the label on the label. Okay, so it's really not that difficult. So let's go ahead and run it and see it. All right, let's go ahead and add one item to the card. Whoops. I have a little error here. This is in the product detail page, right? So I think we're comparing the wrong, field again, right? So let me go back to here. There's the product detail. What was product ID, right? The product ID. Let me take a look at the database one more time. Just did a few round of updates. So it is a product ID, right? Product ID. Gosh, I'm working at all afternoon for this, and just give me this stupid stuff. Just a second. This worked before, right? All right, I'm going to run it one more time. Okay, maybe maybe it is. Okay, let's run it one more time. What happened last time? What did I enter? It worked, right? I didn't change anything. Okay, so we got total here, right? Got total here. And we change it to 3 update. Okay. And this is supposed to be updated, right? And the reason why is because we didn't calculate it. So a second. So there are 2 other things we need to do. Every time that we that we update the here, right? Every time that we, update the quantity or add one more quantity, we need to, calculate it. Okay. One more time. But then what? Let's do a different item because I only have one item in there. Okay, 3 and 2. Update it to 1. There we go. It changed, right? Okay. And we can delete it. Change. And then the next, we need to do empty the card. Now the couple of ways of doing that. Some of you, just clean that card from the database. There's a different disadvantage of it, right? Because remember, I discussed this with you. You really want to keep all the unfinished item there, just for some data analysis purpose. So if you just delete it, you lose it. And then the best way to do that, is to handle the cookie. Okay. So let me see where my empty. So here is an empty card button. Okay. So let's go ahead and write some code for that event. Click event. Okay. And then here is the code. All right. Same thing. We just create a cookie object. Call that card number. And then one way we can do is we just make it expire. Mine's a day, to expire. Because browser always checking the day. And by default, the cookie will only be alive until you close out the browser. Okay, and then if you have a previous day, this will not show. All right, and then we just send it back. Let's give it a try. Let's give it a try. I think I already have, some time. Okay, I have one. A second, let me add 3. All right, let's add another item. 4. Okay, and then empty the card. Oops. Okay. But it's talking. There's no product in the card. Okay. No. Yeah, you should.
Ama haftanın şunu anlamıyorum. Haftanın 2 güne gidiyorum. Ben başka hiçbir şeyim yok.
Sounds like fighting. Let me mute it. Okay. So what we need to do is.
Dr. Frank, I have a question.
Okay, just a second. Let me finish this one. Okay. When you're done, we just respond. Right. Remember I have view card 1 and 2. This one is S2. Okay. That should do it. Okay. What's your question?
When you press that empty cart, did you have to press that button twice?
No, just once.
Just once? Okay.
Yeah,
Because I'm not sure why I have to press it twice in order for it to refresh properly.
Okay, we can do, you can resplice that right and just run the same page, you get refreshed. Now let me try. First of all, let me close out my browser. Start from the. Okay, let's add one to the card. Card, empty the card. Gone. Still there?
See, that's exactly what happens on my end too.
Today when I try on my master, I have a master, I didn't see that. I can check it because I can check it later. Okay. Let me finish this one. Then I'll check it. All right. So the next, is that something called data validation. Data validation is very, very important. Okay. Whatever web application you are developing, especially for security reasons, you have to do a very, very messy kind of data validation. And data validation can be done on the client side and server side. Now, client side is nothing. Client side basically just like assist. You try to help a little bit, but it's not really data validation because, like I told you, anything that is sent out from browser can be intercepted and altered before you send it to the server. So even you validate it in the browser, you send it out, somebody intercept it, yeah, it won't do any good. So, but you can still do, the client side too, okay? But you have to see, the purpose. So let me go back to my Visual Studio. Okay. Let me just create pages. Okay, a new page to show you. Okay. Let's say I want to do there are few approaches. Let me show you 3 approaches. At least 3. Okay. So let me just do this. The first approach. I'm gonna call this data validation. This one is JavaScript. Okay, we're gonna do JavaScript client side JavaScript. All right, let me copy some code in just a second. Okay. I do everything once, today before I come to class. The live demo, sometimes you never know. So I am going to copy this. Let's see. Button 1 click. Unclick button 1 clicks here. Okay. And now the idea here is that we have a form, for example, in this form, okay. Let me see. We have a unclick. You see, it's inside the button. When you click the button, and then it will send it to JavaScript first because you have an unclick event. And this is actually point to the JavaScript, which is here. So we didn't send anything out. Okay. But in order to do this, I believe there's one parameter that we need to add to it. and that is especially just for JavaScript, and that is this obtrusive, validation mode. None. Okay, now, so this is the validation. Let me run it. Form one. Let me see. Maybe you have duplicated form. Form one here. Oh, you know what? I did not enclose the form. Just said. So let me go back to Visual Studio. When I do copy and paste, and I did not do it right. So that's why I couldn't find a form. Time. Okay, I'm not going to waste my time. Let me just switch back to what I did today using my master file. Thank you. Just 1 second. All right. All these, done here this afternoon, November 22nd. I want to show you that I did, do it. But when I do copy and paste, I may, make some unwanted mistake. So let me show you Visual Studio. All right, so this JavaScript, it's actually here. Okay. I don't know what went wrong. Okay. Oh, I'm using C#. I wonder. Any of the ASP.NET button you could have, unclick, and then point it to JavaScript. If we don't have unclick, basically it'll just send it, to the same page. It'll just send a request, down to the same page to the server. All right, so there's one, select number between 40 and 60. If I select 20, okay, show you number is not valid. If you select 80, you'll say it's valid. What do I do? Okay. Now, the JavaScript here, we only have this valid. We didn't have the valid. Okay. In here, we can actually check the number. I need to write a few more line here to check the number. Not just in here. Just say when you click it, you actually point here. It's actually pointed to this this JavaScript. Okay. Can also use something called data validation control. Now, if you go to toolbox, and under this data validation, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different type of data ASP.NET data validation function. Compare to input with whatever your formula, your requirement. You can customize it. You can compare range. You can write your own regular expression required. Okay, the field is required. You have to have choose one or enter something to it, or validate summary. You have a lot of all these control you can summarize in here. Okay, like I told you, data validation, client-side data validation is really not desirable. It's only there to help you. So this required field is probably the only purpose that, right? You require that field, that phone field to be to have some data. And if you have this one, you're forced on the client side, nothing gets to send to the server side. So when user field working on the form, he's forced to enter a value into that. So here's one example. We have a text box, okay, and I have we have a required field data validator from here. It has an ID, and what's important is which data field, which ASP.NET control you want to validate. In this case, is this TB username. Okay, and this is error message. All right, and so this is actually, it's not checking anything. Now this one, it's called expression validation. We want to check to see, it's a maximum, it's a 5 character. All right, and it has to be 0 or 1 or all the way to 9 or AZ, capitalized. And here is the regular expression. Now this is, I don't know whether you guys have experience writing these regular expressions. It's very not easy. Okay, there are actually some utility program online. You can actually just write, to specify what you want. It's just writing for you. And you also need to learn how to read it. Okay. And so this is, but even though we check here, again, it's once, let's say, it fulfills, it's satisfied, okay, and then you can intercept it, or the hacker intercept it and change it. So even though we have this one, it's more like just like assistance. Make sure that we don't get back and forth between server and client server. Okay, it saves some time, but for security reason, this nothing. Well, just take my word, nothing. Okay, don't ever trust client side data validation. Password is the same. Better run it. There you go. Here, if I just leave them blank and submit, and tell you hey, cannot it's username required, password required. Now this is just strictly client side. Okay. I can type something and then and this is actually server side. I do have code. Do I have code in there? Let me see. Control. Yeah, I do have. Yeah, I do have some on the server side. Okay, let me show you. Now I do have some code here. And then strictly server side. Okay, now we have one example of strictly server side. Now I'm going to check the CM. This is integer. Okay, so we have a text box, and then back in, we check it. Okay, your integer. This is the code to check it. All right, so let's go ahead and run it. Input, get something wrong. Invalid. Valid. Okay. So this is strictly just client server side, nothing on the client side. So you see input validation is just very, very messy. You got everywhere. Every single, remember we discussed this, right? For example, your billing information. You have so many boxes, and you have to check every single box to make sure they're valid. If we don't do it right, you're gonna have SQL injection kind of problem, for example. Okay. And next week I'll show you some example. Okay. For your project number 3, for those of you who do project number 3, you can you don't need to you don't need to validate all the field. Okay, it encourages you to do some. Okay, because it takes a lot of time. But again, it's up to you. If you want to learn more, try more. It's just do and go ahead. Okay. All right. So that is project number 3. Any questions before I move to web services?
Are we going to be doing a bit more lesson on project number 3, or are we kind of on our own moving forward?
Project number 3 basically just for those who want to do it. Okay, and no, it's everything. It's nothing new. Like I told you, it's not the only thing new is email. You have the code already. Everything else you'll know. There's nothing new there. So you have one form billing, another form for shipping, right? And then clicking a submit, save it to a database, and there are 2 parts. One is order head table. You need to develop an order head table, and then develop an order line table, so you can save the line not just in the in a new table, not just in the cart table. And after that, you can still try if you want try to send that credit card. Okay, you have that credit card, the SB, the web API kind of example. You can integrate it. Okay, and then see what's returned. And then if you return, if it's good, return your authorization code and transaction key. Save these 2 items in the order head table too, but it's not required. Okay, and then after that, send it confirmation email. So nothing new. So I don't need to show you. Nothing new.
Are the parts that are not required like kind of written out? Does it say optional or?
Okay, let's do this. Okay, let me go to that canvas just a second. Let me go to all right, let me switch it to it. I already have it open. There. Let me let me show you the student view. Okay. So that is actually that's where is it? It's here. Checkout. Okay. And you can read the description here. Develop a checkout page to gather customer payment and shipping information. Save the information to the cart head table, and also your cart, now if you don't have time, you don't want to save it to the cart line table. That's okay. You already have that in your cart cart table, and send it confirmation email. That's it. Yeah. Did I require you to do data validation? Here is the information that you need to gather for customer, including first name, last name, street address, city, state, zip, phone number, email address, credit card number, credit card type, to click on expiration date. Okay, create validation control to validate completeness, data type, other types of dimension. This is more like open. If you want to do everything so complete, it's too much. Okay, that's what I mean. That's what I mean. Okay, and you do something to show me you've done something in one field for completeness. Completeness means required. Data type, to one, and other type, see what you can do. Okay, if the state, okay, California to select and then to supply 9.5 tax rate. Everything else, no tax. All right, and then send a confirmation email.
And for the confirmation email, if it's easier for us, could we use just like some API that sends out emails, or do we have to like do it like how it says on the map?
Say that again?
There's like there's services like MailChimp or whatever that have like an easy API. Could we do that, or do we have to do it the way you do it?
Well, you can do whatever you want. It's programming. That there's different approaches all the time. Whatever you want to do. Mine is one example. Okay. Yeah. And you can kind of just this is actually a typo. It's not after confirmation is sent. Because previously I have some I have a student actually also develop his receipt page. No. So just for here, I will modify, I will edit and I will update it later. Okay, so no receipts after email is sent. All right, clear all the cookies and session variable. In other words, close it out. Okay, if you try it, that my teaching philosophy is you have to learn it. You take challenge. I'm not very picky. So learning process is most important. When it comes to programming, sometimes you could just get stuck by one single bug for like whole day. And if I require everybody to be perfect, then sometimes you hit that kind of bump. That's not healthy. But every time when you have a mistake, we have a bug, or you don't know how to do, you go searching, you Google, you find a way to do it. That's all learning. Okay. And when you see, the error message, you type, enter that into you Google it, you find the answer. All right. So any question about project number 3?
I have one question.
Yeah.
For those doing project number 3, when do you want us to show you it by?
Okay. You still come to the final, exam day. Okay. Well, anytime you're done, you can just come to, let me know. I still have office hour next week. And also, in the week of finals, you can come and show me during that period of time. Or, if you cannot make it, you just come to the final exam. You don't take final. And once I finish final with them, it's usually taking 1 hour. And then you can show me after that.
Okay, thank you.
The final is, you need a lot of preparation. And so if you don't do project number 3, you take final. So I'll give you guys an option. Okay? I really encourage you to do hands-on. Okay? More more hands-on. More more experience. Any question? If not, no, right? Okay. I'm going to switch it to another computer. Okay, so I need to log out, and give me like 5 minutes to set it up, and you log into the same room. Okay, then I'll show you the web services, the database web services. Okay. All right, guys.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
All right. One order. Okay. The account number is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now let me tell you, this is this table, the order table, order detail table. To be honest with you, these are Walmart, the table. Okay, I have this, tables many years ago when one of my client, he was actually the major desktop company for Walmart.com, and then at that time Walmart is doing something like this. Uh, Walmart is like a broker, okay, and Walmart's customer comes to Walmart.com, place an order, and then Walmart will then save that order in their own database. In this case, let's say it's in the MDB, in this Access, okay. And then it is it's, Walmart's vendor. My client is one of the major vendor of Walmart. It's the vendor's responsibility to make a request, okay, and then get the order, right? Get the order information, download all the information, and then process on the client side. Okay, and at that time it was actually implemented on the FTP server. So and Walmart has an FTP server, and there's of course the IP, their authentication. So I have to I had to write a program for the client to automatically every every like 5 minutes or 10 minutes, make a call to that FTP server to see whether there's any new order coming in and download it. Okay, and then after you download it, it's all it's in XML format, right? And then you have to parse that XML format and save it to the client database. Of course, that time, the Walmart database is not large. It's DB2 is Oracle is huge, and my clients are using SQL. But here, I for the server side, I just use this Access. Just example, but the data structure is just the same. This is like 15 years ago kind of data. I still keep it, so I use it. So okay, now so on the server side, all right, we have what we have a database containing the order information, and then we create this let me make it bigger so we can read it. And I create 3 web services. You can get all the detail, right? And give me the order number, and then we're gonna go in there, go to that order, and then put out order head and order line, and then store them in something called data set. Remember data set, we only use data reader, not data set. Now data set's here. So data set, for a data set, you can actually fill multiple tables. So one table order head, one table data line, and then this, what's a good thing about ASP.NET is it'll automatically convert that into XML file for you. So we don't need to write a program to convert it. Once they're in the data set, you just return it. So when they say return, and through this web method, it's actually return that the 2 tables combined in XML format. I show you. Okay. And the second web service is get order XML. Okay, you just want to get an XML file. All right, it'll give me in this case, we're going to write it to a C drive, write C drive, okay? And the third one to get, account number. You give me the order number, I'll give you account number. All right, so I'm going to take a look, and run it in a second. I run it in Firefox. Right, so you can see there are 3 web services, right? Let's get the account number. You give it an order number. There's only one, okay? Invoke it. You give me, the account number is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So that's one. And I want to get order detail. Of course, this one is a little more complicated. So invoke it. It'll give you, see this XML file, okay, in the browser. All right, this is, this is more like a data structure, right? If you read XML file, it's very similar to a table. Here's one order. This is order line, order head table. Okay, you have this account number, data play, this receive, data delivery, actual ship date, a lot of very detailed. And then down here we have order line. All right. So, and then the third, the web server is just the get here's a map file. This one is show you in the browser. This one I'm going to save it. So click it and give it. Oops. All right, same order invoke. Okay, you can see here, but it's actually been saved. So let me go to my file explorer and show you where it is. It's on the C drive, right? It's on the C drive is here, and I mean, I can't remember the directory. Let me just a second. XML under XML file folder. So here. Now we have this one. See, this is just now, right? 6/28, November 22nd. We save it here. All right, now, so this is server side, okay? Now for the client side. For the client side. All right, so I need to let me go show you the client side. All right, so share with you. Now here's the client side. Okay, now client side we do have, it's an interface. So you have order number, and then a button to execute it. Okay, and also a box to show the result, the XML result. Okay, so now let's run it first. Let me run that first. So I'm going to run this in Firefox again. I'll show you the coding in just a second. All right, here we put that number in, get order. These are just SQL statement. I want to write it out and see whether this every single step there's a SQL statement. I show you what, and this is the XML file. Okay, but what I want to do is, what I really want to do, I actually want to go into the database and actually delete. So you see it now. Let me do this order table. Okay. Oops. Let me go inside the order table. Show table data. All right. So there are 3. I'm going to delete them. Delete. So I delete all the existing, record. Okay, I'm gonna run it again. Right now it's blank, right? It's blank. So let me run it again. All right. So after run. All right. I just ran it. Okay. And then let me go back to. Now I can run it again. Okay, run twice. All right, I'm gonna go back to Visual Studio. And then, show you order table. You should have 2 records, 1 and 2, right? Before I delete them all. So in the real time, we actually insert. We make a web service request to that server, get the information, the order information in terms of order head and order line, and then that web service will go to their database. In this case is access, pull it out, and then return that in XML file. And when this client receives it, and and then we need to process it, right? Now here's the thing here. Okay, so basically what we do is we need to, here's all the code. Okay, you see, right? This is at the very beginning. We have this import, service in, right? Um, and and down here, once we have that XML, and we will have to parse it and use a for next loop to create, the SQL statement, because we need to write a SQL statement. So this is what it look like, right? Insert into order head, okay, and then parentheses, all the data field, and then space, parentheses, all the value for the data field. So we're using a routine to build that SQL statement with comma in between, right? And then just execute it, same for the line, okay, and then that's how we are able to save that all the information in this SQL server database. Okay, so you can see this example. This example is about data sharing, right? Now remember I talk about e-commerce. E-commerce is all about what? All about automation. Number one, all about transaction. You want to just automate all the transactions as much as you can. So there's no manual kind of intervention. Now for example, in this case, right? When Walmart received orders, save it to the database, and you make requests. Of course, Walmart may have to send you, that order number, right? Or you can same thing. You can just write a program that automatically download from their, FTP server to get an order number, okay? And your program automated, okay? Every 5 minutes, get a number and then make requests to this this web service to get the order information down. When your client program receives it, automate it, okay, parse it and save it to your own database. And in normal process, once you download the all the information, you should send them an acknowledge kind of XML file too. Okay, and usually you send it to their FTP server. And so Walmart's computer is every second is scanning that in their FTP server to see whether there's any acknowledgement XML file sending in, so they can reconcile their own database. Say, okay, now this order has been downloaded by the vendor. All right, and the vendor, will just, show that order on the warehouse. A warehouse guy will just put the product, package it, send it out, and then the warehouse would say, oh, this one is sent, okay, or whatever, right? And once it's shipped, it's shipped, and then the vendors computer, the system will automatically send UPS tracking number, whatever, back to Walmart's FTP server. And Walmart has a program automatically real time scanning anything coming in, and then reconcile their server, so their customer can can log into their account, take a look at whether this has been shipped or not. And of course you have the UPS and tracking number, for example, they can track with UPS. So you see, this process is totally automated, and the whole transaction is being taken care of. That's called e-commerce. Okay, it's not just, oh, you know what, I send email, okay, I use a fax machine, or I can do a little bit, but I'm not saying if we can only automate, okay, in a portion of it, it's still e-commerce. But the ultimate goal for e-commerce is to take care of all the transaction cycle and automate it. Okay, remember those two important things for the e-commerce. Right, and you see, this web service is about data sharing, right? And then the web API is about program sharing. Okay, of course you can still use web service to do some program sharing, right? And but nowadays, okay, the trend is most of people, more and more company are using web API because they can create their own data format. Okay. So you know, because they don't really want it. You know, it's not like weather service. Everybody can use it. No, it's just for certain people, a certain group of people. Okay, and but at the same time, you know, a lot of company actually have two at the same time. They have web API and also have web service. So you can choose. Okay, so their client, their you know the partner, you know, B2B partner can choose whatever they want to do. Okay, so this is a web service, and like I say, you know, we know how to develop web services. Okay, but we don't know how to develop web API. And, you know, next semester, you know, if you take this 4290, you'll get to learn how to do that. But you know, you need to do it, you know, as a group. Okay, and you will also, you know, spend time, you know, work on, you know, microservice, because this you know, three things are very, very important in order for you to work for the industry and to make your portfolio look good. So web API, web services, and also, you know, microservice. Okay. All right. So any questions? Now I'm going to go back to this, you know, I'm going to go back to the now, okay. I don't want to go back to my original computer. Let me just take a row here. Okay. I have that in my, you know, shared drive. So let me take a row here.